this is Pat Mesiti, my great friend, James Macpherson, who was a genius. He's a commentator on The Good Source and The Spectator magazine. The guy literally is one of the most brilliant satirists, but his insight is unbelievable. James did a piece, and I watched it over the weekend, and I want this to go viral. We dedicate this to Dan Andrews and to everybody who knows anybody who knows nothing about the mess in Melbourne. Have a listen to this. I thought this would be a brilliant live at 5. James sent me this. I want you guys to share it, spread it, have a laugh, a little bit of light humour on our live at 5 tonight. And once again, thanks, James McPherson. Hey, follow James on his podcast. He's absolutely brilliant.
Victorian Premier Daniel Andrews has insisted that nobody made the decision to hire private security guards used in the state's quarantine hotels. In an appearance on Friday afternoon at the inquiry into the government's bungled quarantine system, Mr. Andrews insisted that everybody knew nobody was responsible. It was definitely nobody's fault. Everybody knew that, he said. Ask anybody. His testimony appeared to contradict evidence from everybody to the inquiry that somebody in the Premier's office made the decision that led to Melbourne's deadly coronavirus second wave. Mr. Andrews showed the inquiry a text message from somebody in his office asking everybody if anybody knew how the quarantine would be enforced. Nobody replied to the text because nobody knew, he said. This proves that nobody was to blame. Counsel assisting the inquiry, Rachel Elyard, told Mr. Andrews, it's hard to believe that nobody could have known what was going on. Somebody must have made the decision to use security guards rather than police or army personnel. Mr. Andrews replied, I realise everybody wants to point the finger at somebody in my office, but it was nobody's guess how these operational decisions were made. And the fact is, nobody knew. Ms. Elyard pressed the matter, insisting anybody would assume somebody from your office must have signed off on the decision. A clearly agitated Mr. Andrews told her, anybody can make allegations against somebody, but nobody wins when that happens. I think it's fair to say that everybody assumes somebody made the decision to employ private security contractors. I don't think that's anybody's fault. Nobody can be blamed for that. Ms. Elyard put it to the Premier that hotel quarantine was entirely too important to be left to private contractors. Given what's at stake, given the seriousness of the virus, Ms. Elyard, I think everybody could agree that's a fair statement. Yes, Mr. Andrews said. Anybody could see that. Ms. Elyard then asked the Premier if he could explain how it all went so terribly wrong. I know everybody believes somebody should be held accountable, he said. The simple fact is that everybody thought somebody would take responsibility and anybody could have, but nobody did. Ms. Elyard asked, are you saying nobody is responsible for this whole fiasco? That's exactly what I'm saying, Mr. Andrews said. I'm not nobody, I'm the Premier, and like everybody, I find these mistakes unacceptable. I'm somebody who is as sorry as anybody about this. I want to say to you, Madam Chair, I await your final report so we can better understand what I've just said, and so I, as Leader of the Government, can take appropriate action against nobody.